In this video, I'm going to quickly go through one worded problem, and I'm going to write it down. A lot of the questions related to percentages deal with money, taxes, discounts, profit loss, profit gain, and you'll have to be comfortable with these different type of questions, even though, funny enough, at this age you don't deal with taxes. Now, let's say someone has $5,000 and it says that no tax is paid on the first 2,000, let's say on the first $2,300, just picking a weirder number, and then 12%, say, tax is applied on the remainder. So typically when you earn a specific amount of money, if you're below a certain wage, you don't pay tax because that is, you already don't earn enough, so it's not fair to tax you on that amount. So they start to tax you once you've passed a certain threshold, and in this case the threshold is 2,300. So only after you've passed that 2,300 will you start paying a tax on whatever extra you have. So illustrating this using a bar. So if you have, this is your 5,000, and let's say your 2,300 is somewhere here. So this is safe. You don't touch it because you need that amount of money. But then you have to pay 12% of this amount as tax. So the first question could be, how much is paid for tax? And this is basically you taking a percentage of the remainder. So we first need to know what the remainder is. So we're gonna say 5,000 minus 2,300. That's the amount we don't need, and that is 2,700. And so we need to take 12% of that 2,700. So 12% of the 2,700. It's not 2,700 over 5,000 because you don't want to take a percentage of a proportion. You want to take a percentage of an amount, of this amount. So it's specifically 12% of whatever you have remaining. So using the different methods that I've shown in the previous video for this, so 12% of 2,700 will be $324. So this is how much you'd have to pay for tax. Now let's say the second question was how much money is left. Well, if we've already taken 2,000, let's move this over there. We've already taken this 324, so whatever is remaining is just the 5,000 minus that amount, so it's quite straightforward here. So 5,000 minus the amount you took away, and that will be 324, and that will be 4,676. And then let's say the last question was what percentage of the $5,000 is paid in tax. Now this might seem confusing because you could say, oh, well, it's 12%. But remember, 12% was taken from the remainder. 12%, this 324% is 12% of the 2,700. So it's as if I gave you a completely new question that started with 2,700 and not the 5,000. But 324 is a different percentage for the 5,000. 324 in relation to the 2,700 is 12%, but 324 in relation to the whole thing is not 12%. It's going to be slightly less than that. And so I want to know, what does 324 of this 5,000 represent as a percentage? And so we just multiply this by 100. Okay, so remember, if you want to change anything to a percentage, you can take the fraction, change its decimal form, and then multiply it by 100. Or you could change the denominator to 100 if you can easily spot that, but this is typically a calculator question, so you could use the aid of a calculator for this. And so you are going to get 6.48. This as a fraction will be 0.0648. And so times 100 will give you 6.48. And that is percent. So, which makes sense because for the 2,700, 324 will be 12%. But as you are adding a bigger amount, this $324 will not seem as much. So it's just 6% and 6.48% in the image of $5,000. I know I spent a long time answering this question, but it's just to go through in detail. Be comfortable with questions that ask for addition or adding an amount or losing an amount, and such concepts of knowing when to apply percentages into a whole amount or the part amount or the remainder. So for these questions, you should typically spend about 5 minutes. I would aim for 4 if you could. You might take slightly longer if you're not comfortable with such style of question.